Yes, hello and welcome to the ZeroFunction podcast where no brain cells are present. I'm your host today, CONALL, and my co-host joining me today is Genevieve.
Why'd you say my name like that?
Fucking fight me. Now, I had to do the research for today's episode, unfortunately. I'm not the most...
brains of this project?
Yeah, I was just say research was not my strong suit, but mainly I've actually only gone for one article. Like, I was just looking around for stuff.
Yeah.
Just one article I got, and it's called Crowded Skies.
Okay, so wait, what's the what do you call it? The genre of today's?
Well, you'll find out.
Oh, okay. It's
It
a
is.
surprise.
The title is Crowded Skies.
Yeah.
The UFO Experience in New Zealand. Because I was like, I may as well do a New Zealand thing. Like, come on, we can't not, right?
Yeah.
And obviously, you got to give credit. It's by this guy called Vaughan Yarwood. I have no idea who he is, but it was on National Geographic, so...
Was it? What year is this?
Oh, good question.
Oh.
But it was on National Geographic, so I was like, it's got to be at least,
semi-legit.
Yeah. So, starting off, I guess, it had a different title, but what I would like to call the month of UFO sightings in 1909.
Yeah.
In July. So, off I go, I guess.
Yeah. See, this is what happens when you're the researcher. You just got to come prepared with like the stories, the work.
Yes. I'm just gonna read straight from his article for now, because that will probably be fine.
Yeah.
I would assume. So, documented sightings of UFOs go back a long way in New Zealand. Back, in fact, to 1909. On July 31st of that year, the engine driver on the drain of Hokitika noticed a powerful light out to sea as he approached Greymouth over the Taramacau Bridge. It appeared to him to be rising and falling in the air and to be advancing towards the harbour. He and the fireman observed the mysterious object until it reached Nelson Creek Station, at which it drew towards the shore and descended over the breakers. Carriage doors were
Question.
Yeah?
So they said, like, over the sea. Like, could that not just have been a lighthouse and it looked like it was rising and falling because of, like, the sea?
That's what I thought when I first saw it. I'm like, doesn't seem like any sort of...
Going towards the shore, maybe, because it's a lighthouse.
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, it doesn't really seem like when you first, but once you get further in, you're like, it's a lot of stuff to just, kind of scoff at,
Yeah. Alright,
But, yeah, anyway, what'd I say? Nelson Creek Station, blah, 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 drew towards the shore and descended the breakers. Carriage doors were flung open as passengers crowded the station to watch the wavering light. Now obscured, now clearly visible, as they looked on, it made for the Greymouth Bar against a stiff wind and was lost to view. So that was pretty much... I don't think it was the first sighting, but for some reason this guy has started off with
the main first sighting.
I think so, just because so many people saw it.
Yeah.
And it's like,
They weren't just like, oh, bro, you're tripping. You've been out at sea.
Yeah, there's a bit more credibility to it since there was a large number of people who saw it. They were not the only ones to see something. At 5 o'clock that very morning, 2 dredge hands in Gore had been surprised to see an airship drop through the mist and circle the area. The men noticed 2 figures aboard. After some manoeuvring, the craft, which carried lights fore and aft, shot upwards. There was a yellow glare, then as the weather cleared, the airship moved off to the southeast.
Right. So are they're in the middle of the sea?
I'm not quite sure. It just says in Gore. It doesn't say anything. Obviously, Gore is on the coast. Pretty much it is, isn't it? Yeah. It's like a southern city, town thing, looking ass.
So it's 5 o'clock in the morning, and they're presumably, like, even if they're not, like, out to sea, like, they're on, like, a rig or something, or other, and they just see an airship.
An airship, as they described it. Now, I want to point out the fact that airships were only invented in 1899, and it's 1909 at the current moment.
Yeah.
And they're saying this thing has shot upwards very fast, and it's like, not even planes at that point, which were also, as I noted, invented in 1903,
Yeah.
would have had the maneuverable capabilities to pull off that kind of shit.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Have you seen the movie Magnificent Men and Their Flying Machines?
Magnificent Men, they're flying machines.
Bro, it's crack up. Sorry, just like
I'll be honest, that kind of sounds like a porno, but
no, bro, no. It's about these people that like do a race with like airplanes, but half the planes are like paper mache, man. It's so funny, and they're just like trying to make it go up. And there's this one guy who's just like using the wings to like flap, and like he's trying to like use a plane. My point to that was just like with planes being invented in like 1903 or whatever, there'd still be some like pretty mediocre planes. There
were still like shitty planes. They were like
propellers.
They were like paper looking ass things, and I mean, it was also, there was the fact, I think it was further down the article, at the time, air travel was still a novelty, and newspapers celebrated the feats of aviators in their aerial navigation columns. Only 27 airships were known to have flown that year worldwide, none in New Zealand, and internationally there were fewer than 40 registered aviators. The average speed of the airships was about 26 miles per hour, and their maneuverability was low.
Could you imagine flying at miles per hour? So that's like what, 50k? I think it's
more like 40.
Still, could you imagine flying at 40k?
Yeah.
Oh man, nah.
Yeah, it wouldn't be
Nah.
It's just like, what's the point? You've already got like horse-drawn carriages. I mean, I know you can avoid like hills and shit. Actually, I don't know if they were even that great.
They still probably flew pretty low anyway.
Yeah, I'd say they flew pretty low, but they could get over like hills and shit.
Yeah, I guess. Still, what's the point?
Not fucking.
It's gonna take you longer to get there.
Yeah, it's like.
But anyway, aliens. We're
yeah,
the extraterrestrial life.
in this occasion, it was only the two guys who saw it, so it's a little like, I don't know, bruvs. I don't know about that.
Seems pretty sketch.
God, I just love mispronouncing moldy names.
Yes.
Yeah, there was the one about the bridge, and I'm like, oh. Well, I can't say that properly.
Wait, which bridge?
Terra Macau?
Yeah, you know what? It's the bridge.
Because it sounds like a macaw, sort of.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like it's pronounced there, and it hurts me. I don't like yous. I don't like him. Anyway, yes. From Temuka, Winchester, and Geraldine, I did not know those were places in New Zealand.
Maybe I thought those were names of like people.
I think they're town names.
When you know just your own country so well.
From Temuka, Winchester, and Geraldine. Dan, I kind of like saying Dan. Came reports of a blunt-headed cigar-shaped object, and from Timaru, sightings of a light passing overhead at 10 p.m. the previous night. That is a full stop. I was wondering if it was a comma or something. 2 days earlier, several hundred people had witnessed an airborne light drifting south, possibly carried by the same airship that pupils from Wakari School described seeing earlier in the day. Now, I'll be honest, this sentence kind of got me confused because there's no mention of this school.
Yeah.
Anywhere in the article, anywhere else. I could not see it. I'm like, why did this... I guess it was just like, these people talked about it.
Yeah, it was just like, oh yeah, by the way, several hundred people saw it.
Because it sounded like he was referencing to it above in the article, but there's nothing. I'm like, okay, dude, thank you. But yeah, shitload of people have seen this thing.
The same sort of thing as the first one, or is it just a bunch of people seeing different things?
Well, cigar-shaped object, blunt-headed, and...
Yeah, so kind of the same
so,
thing.
like, an airship-looking ass thing.
Yeah.
But then some, like, also, saying just a light passing overhead. Now...
Shooting stars
I don't know.
exist.
Because we talked about this earlier. The light bulb was invented in, 1870-something or other?
Yeah.
1880s?
1879, I think.
So, it's like, was technology advanced at the time? I think it was, but, like, was it advanced enough to have lights on airborne things?
No.
Yeah, because I wouldn't think so.
Yeah, I mean, when they were inventing light bulbs, I think one of the last places were like, yeah, let's put the lights on the planes.
Let's put it on a flying thing that's not invented yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was
I
thinking.
think they were more worried about, like, people having light bulbs in their house.
Yeah. It's very odd. Now, what was the next thing? On July 24th, 12 Dunedin tradespeople distantly saw, with the aid of coloured glasses and telescopes, what they took to be a cigar-shaped airship. Several railway workers in Okawa saw it approaching Kaitangata. There we go. See, that sounded normal.
Yeah.
A Presbyterian minister, his wife, and children also noticed the object, describing it as like a very bright star, but greatly magnified and travelling at high speed.
So, coloured glasses?
3D glasses?
They just whipped out some 3D glasses from the cinema.
Yeah, that's, just chilling. What is a coloured glass?
Research, my dude, research.
It's
like, I have a
it's
computer
browser
here.
time.
I thought you said it's Bowser time.
Coloured glasses, 1909. That doesn't.
Those are some nice looking wine glasses.
Coloured sunglasses.
You spelled coloured wrong.
Oh, it's fine.
It's
I don't...
absolutely nothing. So we're assuming it's something to see the galaxy.
Something weird.
Because it said coloured glasses and telescopes, so I'm assuming it's going to be some sort of
red, white, blue filter, maybe.
I'm so glad you did that right.
You know, sorry. Yeah, I wasn't paying attention. It kind of had a milkshake. You know, like those things where you got like the red, blue, green, and you flip one up and put the other one down. Maybe it's like that. You know, it's like
I guess so.
The Spy Kids clip of like like the 40 different glasses flipping down. I reckon it's exactly like
man.
that. That'd be fucking epic.
Bro, I wish they had just quick pause with some stuff that they had in like the 1900s would be so useful now. Like,
hold on.
or just like
take a step back.
Cool to have now. Like this.
I don't know.
Well, even like
they'll just be gimmicks.
Well, yeah, probably. Like, I still really enjoy typewriters and things like that. And I know they're so impractical, but like it's just so fun to be like.
Yeah, for like 3 minutes, and then you're like, I don't want to touch this.
Same with record players, I guess, because I'm always like, I like the nostalgia of having a record player, but at the same time, I'd be like, okay, I'm just gonna whip out my phone now.
Yeah, see, I'm like halfway there. My keyboard's so loud already, it's like half a typewriter.
Yeah, it's like an automatic typewriter, basically.
It's so great, except for the whole ding thing, you know?
You could probably add that sound effect, like F12 as a ding.
No, it'd just be enter. Enter would be the ding.
I mean, I guess, but I'm saying, like, if you just wanted to actually, like, just have a ding. Wait, why are we assuming you type?
I type sometimes.
Yeah, in a game chat.
Not even that, I'll be honest. I don't even talk shit. It's all my other mates who are fucking toxic.
Oh, man.
Right. What is the next thing?
We're still on the same topic.
Well, I'm kind of coming towards the bottom of the actual eyewitnesses.
Cool. Yeah.
But then there's some, like, theory stuff I have underneath it.
Oh, sweet.
And then after that, I have another encounter, but after that, I didn't really go further. But the website I still have.
Yeah.
So if we don't get too far, I can just pull up the website and we just go through it.
Sweet. Which
will be fine. Fuck, it's hot. I shouldn't have worn sweatpants.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll just burn alive. That's the next one. An ugly... fucking ugly. Okay, I don't know how I managed that. In early August, a Mrs. Mayo of Kelso.
Of Kelso? Is it still a place in New Zealand?
I don't...
At some point, we have to go visit these places because I've never.
I bet they don't exist anymore. I bet they were just like wiped off the map.
Yeah, they were probably actually
that sounds
renamed.
a bit bad. Just wiped off the map.
Okay, they were probably renamed.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, now it's like White
Nah.
Oh man.
Let's not go there. Anyway, a Mrs. Mayo of Kelso was roused from her bed at 11:30 p.m. by a dull whirring noise like the motor.
Aroused? Do you mean she arose?
She was roused. Sounded like I said aroused.
She was aroused out of
No,
fear.
she was roused, not was aroused.
Oh, man.
It kind of...
Yeah, continue.
I don't know, maybe she was aroused by motor noises. Anyway, by dull whirring noise like the motor of a threshing mill. The thing drew near with what sounded like a distant drum roll accompanied by speaking. Frightened, she jumped from her bed and went to the veranda. The roof was vibrating loudly. Whatever it was approaching from the south passed overhead and died away in the north, in the direction of the mountains. Mrs. Mayo peered into the... Sorry. The name got me. Mrs. Mayo peered into the darkness, but could see nothing. In the morning, the horses in the neighbouring paddock appeared frightened, and the ground revealed marks of agitated galloping.
She should have whipped out her light bulb and looked into the darkness.
See, this one isn't really...
So that one's just, she just heard like a really loud noise.
Yeah, it's like, but...
I was gonna say,
No loud, like...
were
Nothing
motor
really
cars
loud.
invented then? Because it could have just been someone driving.
Oh, I'm assuming so. If the plane was there,
Yeah.
then the cars were definitely there, but, like...
It could have just been
They
someone
wouldn't have
driving
been... Where was it?
around. Mind you, she did say it passed overhead.
I don't know where the fuck Kelso is, but I'm assuming in buttfuck nowhere.
My mother's calling me. Don't worry, I'm not gonna pick it up.
Okay. Seeing as the place is called Kelso.
Mind you,
we
to
haven't
be
heard of
fair,
it.
wasn't everywhere kind of like in the middle of nowhere back in the day? Because there were like 20 people.
It was still decently populated at the time, I would say. I think. Yeah, but anywhere like not Wellington, Auckland, New Plymouth, Dunedin, Gisborne.
Yeah. Anywhere not like the main suburbs.
Nowhere on the
like-
coast.
Yeah.
Would have been anywhere like near populated, pretty much. I mean, it just says like a dull whirring noise and something going overhead. Maybe there was a plane for some reason.
Yeah, maybe someone was just like trialing a new plane.
Yeah,
at,
maybe
like, midnight.
somebody like came from overseas. Is like, I want to fly my plane here. Also, I don't know how they got their plane there other than a boat, but why they would do that? Good question. Anyway,
Could you admit like planes were small enough to like take by boat?
I think they were honestly because there was like.
Well, yeah, in the movie I mentioned before, like that's this guy like
Actually-
cheats and he like boats his plane across the canal to like win a race. And I'm like,
I don't think anybody would like actually go to the effort of doing that because you'd need a boat big enough to just sit a plane on it unless they like folded up. I think some of the planes at the time actually like folded up.
yeah.
That may just be my imagination. I'm
Well,
not
I think the
quite
wings
sure.
like went like
Yeah, like
yeah.
but like big military ships were only like just coming. Like dreadnoughts were only just made at
Yeah.
the time, pretty much, or like late 1800s, I think.
Yeah.
Could be wrong. I've played enough games to maybe know that. Oh no, I could be completely wrong.
Yeah.
So, from Napier, Fielding, Wellington, Blenheim, Kaikoura, and Nelson came descriptions of a bright light enveloped by an opaque body which moved in a wave-like fashion at heights ranging from 300 to 900 meters. Often it was seen to shoot vertically out of sight or to disappear behind clouds.
I actually know those places. So
Wow, they're places that we actually know.
Yeah.
Fucking incredible. Now it's kind of weird because it's all like the same similar
light
description in all the accounts, and it's like apparently the media was actually quite all over it, like newspapers back then. So maybe it's people influenced
Yeah.
by the media.
It would have been sick if you found a news article from.
I wasn't
thing.
that. I wasn't gonna go to that much effort to research this. Like, bruh.
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty like. I'm pretty sure all you'd get.
That's
is,
like a school project thing.
But I'm pretty sure all you'd get from that anyway is like the official a
The
thing flew
source.
overhead.
Yeah, just like, oh, thing. Yep, there was a thing.
Yeah.
A fling.
A fling overhead.
I can't form T's, THs. I'm struggling, man. Anyway, and the last one of the eyewitness reports for this month of UFO sightings.
Oh
as
yeah,
it's
this was
been
all happening
deemed.
in July.
It's pretty much, it seems to be focused in July, but it's kind of like August to September, sort of, but
Yeah.
mostly in July.
Yeah.
For upwards of 6 weeks, from mid-July to early September, newspapers were full of such reports, and theories on their origin abounded. Hoaxers projecting pictures of heliographs onto clouds, pranksters on a hilltop lighting gasoline-soaked bags of kapok. The fuck is kapok? Sorry, I thought this was an eyewitness thing, but it was kind of just branching onto the next thing. Someone of a scientific bent attaching. That sentence doesn't make sense. I swear I didn't write that. This was the actual author.
Yeah.
So was it me? Of scientific bent attaching a lightweight luminous cloth to a gull or pigeon, and rather desperately a light on a chain suspended from heaven. So some pretty wild ideas.
I was like, what? So maybe it was just a bunch of pigeons with fire attached to them.
Yeah, you gotta think about it though. The people were describing it as like a bullet-looking ass cigar-shaped
birds flying in
rounded
formations.
thing. I mean,
Someone could have
and
just set
with
fire to
a
one
light,
bird.
it's like, and those two guys at Gore claimed that there was two figures.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I don't know.
I don't know about that. It all seemed pretty scared.
Yeah, just a touch, eh?
Yeah.
Just a little bit. It's. I think the people were like influenced by each other.
Yeah.
Because when they saw something they couldn't explain, they're like, "Oh, it's very similar to that other report, so let's say it's like that one and like solidify it," you know?
But that's the thing, is like in this report it's written as, you know, seeing something in the sky, but it was so far back before, you know, obviously internet and all that sort of stuff. So it could have actually been just something completely rational, but they just didn't know at the time. And so in these reports it's written as this like big thing, then they're like, oh no, it's like it's actually just
it's hard
an
to say
electrical
that
storm.
because I don't. It's like, what could have it been back then? Because no airships in New Zealand that are known of.
Yeah.
Would have not been planes, definitely.
Yeah, there were only like, what, 40 pilots?
Yes, around
Yeah.
the world, so most of them would have been like fucking American and British.
Mind you, this is the thing, because New Zealand's also quite small, so what if someone was just like hopping over from Australia and they just like...
They chilling.
Yeah, they just sent someone over and New Zealand's just like, we do not know of such advanced...
The devil. Him and his
Oh, man.
worship has come for us.
Yeah.
Anyway, theories. Ooh.
It's a game theory.
Shut the fuck up. Anyway, alcoholic visions were unlikely. However,
I'm sorry,
this is a good start.
Oh man, it just reminded me of the story we did last week when he
Oh.
shot a ghost, but he was like, after a few bevies, like, I decided to go
Bevies.
ghost hunting. It's just like,
Yeah, it's like,
bruh, it's just a bunch of drunk people just tripping.
yeah, it's
Mind you, this was also, like, some of them were also seen at like 5 a.m, so maybe it was just sleep deprivation.
Sleep delirium, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's shit in the sky. Yeah, alcoholic visions were unlikely. However, at least among the citizens of Otago and Southland, who were at the time largely under the yoke of a strict prohibition. So people weren't allowed to drink, apparently, pretty
Oh,
much, or at least very little. Which I did
Poor souls.
hear about. I think there was one recently.
Really?
Like late 1900s, and people were only allowed to like drink for an hour after work. Or something.
Damn.
That may just be me
Yeah.
spitting shit. But for some reason that's in my head somewhere.
Look at me being so gullible though, I'm just like, whoa, really?
Could it... I did my history teacher. I don't know. He seems like he likes to have a
Good
pint.
baby, yeah.
Just a pint after work. What was I saying? I got lost.
Alcoholic
Yes.
beverage.
Yeah, yoke of strict prohibition. Nor were dirigible... Don't know that was a word. Dirigible spy missions from German ships plausible. The task
Why Germany?
of... because people were gearing up for World War One, that's why.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Because World War One was 1914.
Yeah.
So tensions would have been very high, but it's highly unlikely.
Bro, what if it was just a nuke and they were just like, whoa?
Ah, yes.
Like that, like had just
the nuclear
overshot.
bomb that was used in the 1940s. Yeah, that definitely existed. Like what, 30 years earlier? 30, 40 years earlier.
It, you know, they could have just been testing it.
No, definitely not. I feel like your timelines are a bit askew, you know?
Bro, my timelines are so messed up.
Yeah, you're not quite in the same.
I never took history.
I took history, but all we talked about is fucking... I don't remember what we talked about. To be honest, it was that uninteresting. I'm like, bro, just let me hear some good stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, the task of deflating such an unwieldy object on a rolling deck before daylight would have challenged ingenuity. In any case, no one could reasonably explain what German spies, or Japanese for that matter, would want with barren mountain ranges and small country towns. Yeah, so there's pretty much just no reason why they're there. I don't know why the Japanese would be there. They only really crip walk in like World War II. Yeah. So
did you just say crip walked in?
I did. I didn't think say that. That feels like an insult somehow, but
Nah. I mean,
yes. One of the Greytown Rail passengers, no doubt influenced by H.G. Wells' recent scientific romance, The War of the Worlds, had suggested observers were in the presence of a messenger from Mars.
At least they didn't say it was like a spirit from heaven and hell.
Ooh. I feel like a lot of people would have said that.
Yeah.
It's not said on here,
We're
but
being condemned.
let's be honest, because back in that day...
Yeah.
Back in... Not my day.
Yeah, you were kicking around in 1901.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Christianity was very prevalent.
Yeah.
Just fucking turning people left and right. Actually, yeah. I feel like Christianity's only like calmed down and like.
Has it? Has it calmed down?
I think it has. I think it's calmed down quite a bit. I think it's like 90s, 80s,
yeah.
80s maybe. It's like really started to slow down with like internet coming along and stuff. Like people like, oh, we don't have to be enclosed in this thing anymore. Yeah. This religion.
We have our own voice.
We can step out, bruh. Alright, what is this? Continuing on from the worlds. We're of the worlds. More likely an invasion from Mars, thought WHT. Who the hell is W?
I love how they thought it was more likely to be an invasion from Mars than Germany.
People are whack. I don't know who WHT is. I guess it's just, what's it called? What?
The bro.
The bro, yeah, he's just the bro. To the editor of the Evening Star, this fevered correspondent wrote, "Water being scarce on that planet, the Martians are necessarily looking out for a new world to inhabit, and New Zealand being a conspicuous object on our globe, they will probably attack us first. The presence of a dead squid on the beach at Berks a few days ago is fairly conclusive evidence that if this is not a Martian invasion, it is at all events a serious reconnaissance from that planet. It is well known that on..." I love it, it goes, "It is well known. It is well known that on Mars the highest development of the brain has been in octopods." And to me, it is quite evident that one of the invaders fell out of the Martian airship when crossing Otago Harbour, and being but an indifferent swimmer, had been drowned and washed ashore.
It thought that a squid...
He thinks that the squid is the Martian, and that Martians are octopods.
And wait, this was like a legit statement?
Yep, this is a man. This is a fevered correspondent, as the author puts him. That is quite the paragraph.
Yeah, we just need to talk about that for a sec. So he thought that the squid that just happened to wash up on the beach, because, you know, I mean, sometimes things wash up on the beach, that's what happens, but he thought, one, it was a Martian that had drowned by falling out of its spaceship, and two, he was like, nah, it's legit. Like, Mars has Martians with their spaceships. Like, we know that much. That much is clear. As if it's like an actual legit fact that we just like know that Martians are like right there.
And I'll be honest, I don't know why he thinks it's an octopod. Because an octopod has gone through the evolutionary process of adapting to the water,
Yeah.
right? But this octopod drowned, apparently. So it's an octopod that's evolved in the same way as, like, squids and octopus on Earth, but it's still drowned. And it's like, not correlating unless they, like, the water different though, but the water ain't different on Mars. Maybe only slightly, but it's very similar
also,
to Earth.
He says that like New Zealand would be a good place for them to like inhabit because of what? Because it's
Conspicuous.
Like, yeah, but
it's
like
out of the way, pretty much.
At the same time, there's nothing here. Like yeah, they're like, oh, there's nothing here. Like we'd go there, but there's nothing here. Like there's nothing for them to invade. Like
the only thing here is to wait to die. We're sitting right on we're just sitting right on a fault line, man. Shit blows up. Like if there is just like a massive worldwide like
earthquake,
continental shift for some reason. Like if the Pacific's just like I want to go under my dude or over whichever way it is, could be pretty hefty.
Oh, we're gone.
Yeah. Not accounting for the fact that there's a super volcano in New Zealand. That's not cash money. Although unlikely to erupt, but, you know.
Christchurch has just been, shaking like a snow globe of it.
Yeah, I mean, this the super volcano under Taupo is not, like, large comparatively to Yellowstone.
Yeah.
But that shit big, if you think about the fact that I'm pretty sure Taupo is the crater.
Wait, really?
I'm pretty sure Taupo is like the crater of the supervolcano. Or Lake Taupo, I think. Could be wrong once again.
I mean, but that would make sense.
Something along those lines, and it's like, bruh, that shit.
People just be swimming in Lake Taupo and things like that.
That shit goes big explosion.
Yeah, and especially if you look at the size of New Zealand, like that's actually massive.
That's very large.
That's the thing. Even though other places sit on fault lines and things like that, like they could almost survive because of like the sheer size or whatever. Like they could head, away from the fault line. People could move.
Like in America.
We have nowhere to evacuate.
Yeah, on America and the Californian coast, they just go east.
Yeah,
pretty much. I mean, they could get fucked still because Yellowstone is slightly east of that fault line, I think.
Yeah.
So shit.
But at the same time, they still have a chance to like migrate and move on.
They got a
Whereas
chance.
if we're like, oh, by the way,
unless the wind's going east.
Yeah, like the only way we'd have to survive is to like fly somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, you could go to South Island. I think it'd be reasonable enough distance to go that way. And usually we get like southern winds, don't we? Yeah. Yeah, so maybe the ash will just go up. Hopefully, maybe just that way.
Yeah, maybe we'll be chill.
Yeah, that'd be fucking brilliant, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Maybe
anyway,
the Martians will come for us.
Yeah, so that was the most interesting of the theory.
Yeah.
Portion, Anyway. I had like a little mouth stroke there.
A mouth stroke?
Yeah, I said it a lot. Actually, I just call it a stroke when I can't speak properly.
Yeah.
In general, anyway. Others subscribe to the theory of a lone and secretive inventor. Mark Gibb of Oamaru recalled meeting an English tourist the previous summer who claimed to have found such an inventor up in the mountains. The inventor took advantage of the steep terrain to launch his craft, which was said to be capable of travelling at upwards of 100 miles an hour, and of remaining aloft for months on end. Elaboration of the inventor's theories of flight, however, including strange analogies to the stubby wings of paradise ducks, cast the reality of the whole enterprise into doubt. What the fuck is a paradise duck?
Strangely enough, I feel like I have heard that before.
See,
I don't know.
I saw these things when I was researching, but I just didn't go to the effort of looking it up.
Wait, so this guy was just chilling up in the mountains?
Apparently, according to this tourist who came across him...
What was he doing in the mountains? Two, how do you just come across someone in the mountains?
Just on a mountain, this dude's just like in a fucking plane or airship. I'm going.
Hey-o!
Just a mad man. He just like jumps off a cliff. He's like, I'm going, man.
Yeah, he just like runs off with this paper mache plane. Like, we gonna fly
I can guarantee if that man was real, he's fucking dead. He would have, because
yes, it was 1909.
we know how steep hills can be here in New Zealand
Yeah.
and shit. Like, you know, like fucking King Country and shit. You go down one of those hills, bro, you're gonna smack into like a tree and just fucking like just
Spiral
spin.
out. Yeah, because that's the thing with like lush with forests and things like that. He'd start like losing altitude and he'd just be like, shit, I'm gonna be able to get wrecked by
He's
some
like,
tree.
there's another hill. Because you go off one hill and there's just another one right in front of you.
Yeah.
Like, yes. Didn't think about turning.
Yeah, he's just like gliding into this hill. I forgot about brakes.
Yeah, don't know how to get down from here. Anyway, the Motara ensign flushed out another possible inventor, Wakatipu. That didn't sound right. Is that me saying that?
No idea.
Wakatipu? I'm just gonna say Wakatipu. Man, a solitary mechanic who sometime earlier had taken delivery of a mysterious freight consignment consisting of the absolute requirements for building an airship. Alas, the goods delivered to the remote location were later found out to have been used to build a heavier-than-air flax milling machine. So that dude was just being sus as hell.
Yeah.
But then they were like, you're not, chief. Yeah, so that's the end of weird month of UFO shit in New Zealand.
But what was the conclusion? Did they not have one? Did they just go, shit, that was a weird month?
No conclusion, because it was 1909. People don't care. They were more worried about war shit, I'm assuming.
Yeah. They probably were preparing
And
for a
other
little bit.
things than fucking UFOs. They're
Yeah.
like, if it's not enemies, if it's not Germans, we're good.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if it's an extraterrestrial force coming to eat our asses or something.
That's so, well, I feel like, yeah, at that point, like, because if you look at, you know, people nowadays, when we're like, Area 51, everyone's like, conspiracy theories. Back then, they were just like,
We don't have time to deal with that.
Yeah, they were like,
We just wanna
don't know,
survive.
don't care.
Yeah, no. Too much effort for too little reward.
Exactly.
Now people have too much time, apparently, to look at conspiracy theories.
Bro, so many people just have way too much time on their
And
hands.
somehow make a... oh god, what's the word? I've forgotten it.
The word for?
Like a profit off of it, or like make a living out of it. That's what I was looking for.
Make a living out of
Yeah,
it.
people somehow make livings out of like researching conspiracies, and it's like,
Yeah.
how did you manage that?
How? Why?
Yeah.
How?
Yeah, with like insufficient evidence or no evidence.
Yeah.
They're still like, nah.
I mean, people just make up conspiracy theories, and people, like, other people are like, I believe that.
Right, so, on to the next story, sort of thingamajigger. So this is in the same article as before, and just, it doesn't really carry on. Yeah, just burping over here, don't worry. It doesn't really carry on from the last thing. It's on its own, more modern. So anyway, Eileen Morland of Blenheim coincided in a meaningful way with something she didn't much care for. At about 5:30 a.m. on July 13th, 1959, Mrs. Morland turned the milking shed lights on as usual and headed out across the paddock, torch in hand, to get the cows. The morning was cold and still, with a layer of thick cloud. Halfway across the paddock, she became aware of a greenish glow which bathed the ground in an eerie light. Looking up, she saw two green lights like big lamps ringed by orange bands emerging from the clouds. Unnerved, she ran for the cover of some pines which bordered the paddock and stood motionless among the cows. As she looked on in disbelief, a cylindrical object lowered itself from the sky and hovered several meters above a line of peach trees. The object, which she estimated to be 8 meters wide, was banded with 2 rows of jets, each one brilliant orange with a greenish center. On stopping, the jets shut off, then began to counter-rotate at high speed until they blurred into continuous halos of light. The air was filled with humming and the hiss of jets. Eileen, well, actually, any comments before I keep going?
Yeah.
It kind of sounds like your typical
UFO. So
like,
it looks like a
flying
jet first, and then it became like the flying saucer. Like,
I think so, because it's cylindrical, so
Yeah.
not quite like the flying saucer thing, but kind of along the same lines, maybe?
yeah, same breath.
I'm just wondering if, like, when it says cylindrical, is it like tall boy or long boy? You know?
Yeah.
Is it cylindrical in length or cylindrical in height? Because either way, it doesn't seem quite right to me.
I'm gonna say height because maybe if it was like going up or down or.
Well, if it's a cylinder, then it can't be. I mean, it can be wide, but like it kind of has to go up a reasonable distance to be a
Yeah.
cylinder. Because if not, then it's just a circle at that point. You know, just a circle
Yeah.
with like flat boys on top and bottom. Yeah. Because a cylinder is pretty much a sphere, but you've just chopped off the top and bottom.
Yeah.
Or whichever you relatively determine as top and bottom.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It might just be like
Flat boy.
Yeah, it might just be like a flat boy, like a really flat cylinder.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Because if it was just like a circle rotating, but if it had lights on the top and lights on the bottom, then it would look like a cylinder.
Yeah, it'd probably like distort the image of it.
Yeah. Again, this is like back in who knows when, so they probably were just like, yes.
1959. I did say
Oh,
that.
I
So
missed that.
it's relatively new, like towards the space age. Kind of.
Oh, well, I don't know. They should know better.
Bleh. Yeah, this is time when people were actually like considering that kind of shit.
Yeah.
Right. Where do I go on to now? Eileen Moreland's heart beat faster when she realized the craft was occupied. It was told by a transparent...
Wait, it landed? Because she said she could see it was occupied. How do you see it's occupied when it's in the sky?
It hovered, apparently. Yeah,
so she straight up just saw a UFO. It's not like a pass. Like it was hovering.
Well, it wasn't very high up. I don't.
Well, she saw it was occupied, so.
I think it was like 10 meters up, maybe, because it says above some peach trees. How tall are peach trees? Do you know?
I'm gonna say 10, 20 meters.
Yeah, so
Or is it like
relatively
an
high.
orange tree that's like 2 meters tall?
You know, how tall is the average peach tree?
Shit, you typed.
Damn,
fast.
that was a flawless fucking type.
How tall are peach trees? That first question.
What? Shut. 25 feet tall.
25 feet.
How's feet to... feet to meter? Oh, that's not meter.
7 meters.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not actually.
7.5 meters.
Yeah.
Let's say 8.
8 meters.
8 meters. I mean, it's hovering it's only like 10 meters up.
Huh.
Probably. So if she was at like a sufficient distance, then she could probably see something. Yeah. I reckon. Where did you stop me? Where she realized it was occupied.
Yeah.
It was topped by a transparent dome or cowl filled with a flickering white light, which appeared to come from the center of the craft. Inside, 2 seated figures could be seen, one behind the other and both facing the same way. Each wore an opaque helmet and was clad in a metallic suit which crinkled and reflected light with every movement.
So it was actually just the states chesting out their spaceships.
Bro, it sounds like a fucking helicopter.
Yeah.
You know how there's like the gunner module and then the pilot module. That's what it sounds like. Except they're not cylinders.
It literally just sounds like they're testing a space flight.
It sort of does.
Yeah.
But it's like...
Why would they be on her farm, though?
I don't think there was any capability of hovering other than, obviously, airships at that time. I was like, maybe it was just a really fancy airship that the government had developed.
Maybe she lives next to Area 51.
But I don't think... It's also weird because she described it as jets. But jets, I don't think were a thing.
No.
Other than, like... Because obviously 1969 was the first flight to the first moon landing, I think. Yeah, 1969, right? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine a rocket ship's jets on, like, a tiny...
Just on this farm, just on fucking fire.
Yeah.
Everything's
that peach tree
lit.
would be gone.
Yeah, I don't think there was any sufficient or similar form of propulsion
Yeah.
other than rocket jets, and that shit was volatile. Like, you did not want to be near that.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know about that. It's like,
I don't know.
There's nothing similar. It's like, it's really odd that she described it as jets, I think.
And also, it's like in a modern enough age where it's not just like, what was that random light? Like, they had some sort of common sense to this sort of stuff now.
Yeah, it's very, very odd, because I feel like, I don't think, like, people in New Zealand, I don't think, like, people in New Zealand would have been very aware of, like, the American-Russian space race. I mean, they would have been, but, like, not enough to be
thing,
like, oh yeah, this thing's called, like, a rocket jet or something. But,
Yeah.
like, I feel like jet wasn't a term that would be used in. Isn't there a thing on Google's, like, terms that were used or something?
You're asking the wrong person.
Fuck. I don't remember what it's called, but anyway, yeah, no, I don't... Weird vibes, man.
I feel like that one's the most, like...
It sounds like a modernized
though.
article. Yeah, a bit, but it's very descriptive.
Yeah, it could also just be like, I swear I saw this thing.
Yes, but
So
there is a little bit of credit due, though, once I get further down. Anyway, what was I up to? Suddenly, the rare figure stood and leaned forward, seemingly to study something. It then sank back, and the jet stopped rotating and went out. They immediately came back on again. There was a loud rush of air, and the craft rose vertically at unbelievable speed, accompanied by an almost unbearable high-pitched screech. A moment later, a wave of warm air hit Mrs. Morland, carrying with it the hot pepper smell of ozone. Now, I'm not someone who knows what ozone smells like, and I'm like, what?
But is it pepper? Or is it nitrogen?
I don't know, it just kind of seems like the story's been modernized.
Yeah. Like,
I don't know.
I don't know, if I smelled pepper, I'd be like, what the hell? I wouldn't be like,
hold on,
that's the ozone.
I think it has been modernized because it's like the whole thing isn't in quotation marks.
Yeah.
Only specific parts have been.
Oh yeah.
In quotation marks.
So
like,
someone's probably read something and made an article from it.
Yeah, I think it's been modernized and interpreted slightly differently than was actually said. So it's a little hard to say about the credibility, but also once I go further in, it does carry a bit of weight to it, I would say.
Yeah.
Right. What was it? And that was that. The town clock struck a 5:45, and Mrs. Morland pulled herself together and got on with the milking, of course. When it was done, she went in, woke her husband, and told him what had happened. He was reluctant to call the police over at such an odd, inexplicable incident. When she did, they appeared interested, as did staff at the nearby Woodbourne Air Force Base, where her husband, an RNZAF officer, worked.
Wait, so she lives, like, just up the road from
Yeah.
the Air Force Base?
And it's but they were interested, so it's like, they weren't just like, yeah, don't
they were
worry.
like, oh shit, she saw us. So
You think they wouldn't be interested, though, if it was something to do?
No, but, like, okay, say you're doing something you're not supposed to, and someone's like, I saw this really weird thing. You just go, huh.
I think the government had enough power to just be like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. They'd be like, fuck off, you're not coming to the base or anything, shut up. What's next? Yeah. Her husband was an RNZAF officer worked. Base personnel who came to question her and to study the site detected residual radiation in the paddock. So that's a little, odd. Several days later, Eileen Morland's hands began to swell. So much so that her wedding ring grew painful and had to be cut away. Her face became marked with brown blotches. though the swelling at last subsided, the pigmentation over her right elbow took 6 years to disappear. The fruit trees above which the craft had hovered died soon afterwards and were dug out. The case was frustrating. Lights, radiation traces, bodily swelling, and the appearance of a stigmata left little to go on. A decade later, however, ufologists were rewarded with what many considered New Zealand's best physical evidence yet of planetary visitation.
Ufologist is a job?
That's what I was gonna say. Is that a...
You get paid just to be like, let's try and find some shit in the sky?
I guess it's just like a weird type of historian researcher, I would think.
Maybe. To be fair, it's not the weirdest job that's out there.
No, there's definitely things that are worse.
Yeah. That one's the most, like, substantial, especially
Yeah.
with, like, the radiation, because the swelling and things like that is probably just from the radiation.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think if you're in, like, direct contact with large amounts of radiation, then you do see immediate effects.
Yeah.
But that kind of immediate, like, that exposure to radiation, that's usually in, like, nuclear disaster mode. Like Chernobyl. You would have to
True.
be in the vicinity to see that kind of instant effects. Like, even the workers during the Chernobyl disaster, I don't think they really saw any immediate effects. Like, when they were literally blocking up the reactor.
Yeah.
When they were so close to it. I don't think they really got affected quickly. I could be wrong.
There is a movie on Chernobyl that I've seen, but it was a very long time ago, so I can't really comment on that. But, hey, nukes were invented by this point.
Nukes were, in fact, invented. They were, but...
I reckon RNZAF were just testing some shit. She saw them and they were like, we better cover this up. Especially if there's radiation involved. They were probably like, shit.
Yeah, I think somebody from New Zealand was actually the guy who split the atom. That may just be... I think he split the atom.
Well,
or something along those
nobody
lines.
has actually ever split the atom. They created the theory to split the atom.
Yeah, something along those lines. New Zealand nuclear guy. Oh, that's not right.
Wow, you typed so fast the first time. Now
Well, it's because it was an easier sentence with easy words. Nuclear guy. Give me nuclear guy, not nuclear disarmament. I can smell the uranium on your breath. Sorry, getting distracted again. I feel like there's a guy called Rutherford.
Yeah, that... Ernest
Rutherford, British New Zealand physicist.
Is he the guy who split the atom?
Show me Wikipedia.
Wikipedia has all your legit
in early work, Rutherford discovered the concept of radioactive half-life, the radioactive element radon, and differentiated and named alpha and beta radiation.
Something.
In 1911, although he could not prove it was a positive negative, he theorized that atoms have their
He performed
charge.
the first artificially induced nuclear reaction.
Yeah, see, there you go. So, you know, he was a New Zealander. He could have been up to some weird shit.
Yeah. Wait, he died in 1997.
Yeah, so he would have been, like, in his prime, I guess.
Oh, no, actually after his death in 1937.
Oh.
So
Cool.
he died before this happened.
Ah. Well, guess that was fooled by me.
Wait, how old was he? When was he born?
1871.
Oh, okay, so he wasn't actually that young.
Aged 66, maybe because he's near that radiation. Actually, that's a decent amount of time to live at that time.
I mean, yeah, fair, especially if you are surrounded by radiation. Like, all the time.
I mean, although it still does give grounds that New Zealand could have somehow been involved in nuclear
Activities
radiation
and things.
shit.
Yeah.
I mean, New Zealand nowadays is like, nah, fuck that.
Oh, we're like so out of everything.
They don't let nothing, no radioactive shit here unless it's just like a straight up material. Actually, I think anything nuclear powered can't enter New Zealand. So America's like, fuck you. because they want their nuclear-powered submarines and shit
Yeah.
to go through our, like, our economic exclusion zone, I think it's called.
Yeah.
But New Zealand's like, fuck you.
No.
Get out of here.
We ain't gonna be part of your bullshit.
Even though we can in no way stop them.
I mean, pretty much. Like, that's the thing. New Zealand holds so much rank considering, like, the size of us. Like...
We do, but we don't, really.
Yeah.
Like, we have so much... We could claim a lot of land as well.
Yeah. But, like, a lot of Americans, like, they respect New Zealand for some reason. They're always like, oh, you're from New Zealand? That's so cool, blah, blah. And you're like, why? Like, what's so cool about New Zealand?
It's kind of... Yeah. It's kind of just chill.
Yeah.
So there's nothing really interesting about it. It's just
Maybe
like...
that's why they like it, because they're like, wow, what's it like not to live in a society that's just, like, completely corrupt?
Don't have to deal with bullshit. Hell yeah. I really got off on the wrong path when I was researching this. I somehow got onto something called, like, the continent of Lucernia or something.
Yeah.
It was like a conspiracy theory continent. In, like, some weird fucking... Oh, what do you call it? Like, a theology? Like,
Yeah.
a certain type of theology followed it. Or,
Yeah.
like, the kind of lines. And I was like, I saw the symbol for the theology. And there was, like, a swastika. And I'm like,
Oh, no. Back it up. Back up the bus.
You know, like, yeah, maybe. It was like a sunken continent, like, in the Indian Ocean. I'm like,
Yeah.
bro, what is happening? What is going on here? I'm like...
It's just Atlantis, take two.
Yeah, and I looked at all the other conspiracy theory continents. I'm like, yes, no evidence.
Sick. They're just like, they found some rocks and they're like, that was a place.
It's like fucking Terra Australis. Do you know what that is?
No.
No, it was like when people were exploring and they came down near Australia and New Zealand. They thought there was just like this whole like the whole bottom of the Earth was just like a continent. Like, there's obviously Antarctica, but they thought it was just like all the way around, just like a dome kind of looking ass continent. And it was like, alrighty then. It's like, that's not quite right. A bit off there.
Yeah. Oh man, do you have any final thoughts to wrap up your article?
Yeah, no, honestly, I didn't expect the two stories sort of things would actually carry us to an hour.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I was a bit surprised. I got a bit worried. But
I think
like,
it's just because we're blessed with chat and shit.
Oh, it was just like at the end of the first story, and it was like we're half an hour in. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. I'm like, yeah, that's alright. That'll do, pretty much.
Bro,
Yeah.
you're gonna be more like attached to the content. This isn't just like the time. You're gonna be attached to the content, man.
And somewhat attached.
For the viewers.
I'm close enough attached.
I'm close enough attached.
Yeah,
I mean,
enough
we're coming back next week.
enough to make it relative to the subject.
I think my
At
final
least.
thoughts on this is the first one, not enough evidence to back up any sort of thing. Like,
It was only eyewitnesses. But
yeah,
eyewitnesses,
it's only
like,
eyewitnesses, and it's so like long ago that there, because like it's a modern article talking about so long ago. If it was like an old school article being like, this is what happened, blah blah, you could kind of
yeah.
believe it a bit more. But it's just like a new article talking about old school stuff, which is like,
It's like, I don't know about that.
The second one with the radiation, I don't know if aliens just kind of show up and then pollute you with radiation and then like gap, but it's more plausible.
They want your pants. They want your water. It's gonna like suck all the water out of your body.
Well, that's the
It's a
thing.
straw.
If it killed that tree, any like river or anything around that would just be completely messed up now.
Oh yeah, but like, there's nothing further than that I could
Yeah.
see in the article. I'm like,
But I am more. I like the fact that they described it as like two figures like wearing suits or whatever, not just like we saw these green Martians.
like they're wearing helmets and shit as well.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know.
They're like a
yeah,
little bit
maybe.
sophisticated. Yeah, like there is something to be like, yeah, it wasn't just like we saw these
There were
aliens.
but I think writings at the time may have had shit like that.
Yeah.
Like novels and sci-fi novels. Like a lot of sci-fi novels were coming out at that time.
Yeah.
And shit. And I was just like, yeah, it's whack, man.
It's
It's whack.
Oh, bro.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's all I've got. You got anything?
Not really. I guess I guess we'll just see you next time with
Yeah, we've
murder,
got
maybe.
some special stuff coming up next week.
Yeah, who fucking knows? It could be shit, could be bad, probably shit.
It's my week, so it's actually gonna be good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she right.
Alright, all good, guys. We will catch you in the next one. Peace.